Shobha Deva Jayo Jayo Goyate Arati Goshobha Jana Vidata Mane Jagamana God. Jai
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yamunatiravanachari. Yamunatiravanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamunatiravanachari. Yamunatiravanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamunatiravanachari. Yamunatiravanachari. Shri Radha Gokulanda ki, Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Shri Gaunitai ki, Shri Prabhupada ki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today, reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translated and commented by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Swami Prabhupada. Chapter 2, text 43 and 40, 42 and 43, or 43 and, 42 and 43. Yam imam puspatam vacham pavatyanti abhipasita vede vede rata patananya asit vidi neha kama mana swaga para janma kama phala padam kriya vesha bahulaham bhogeshwara gatim pati yam imam. Okay, that's it. Translation. Men of small knowledge are very much attached to the fiery words of the Vedas, which recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to the heavenly planets, result in good birth, power, and so forth. Being desires of sense gratification and opulent life, they say that there is nothing more than this. Srila Prabhupada's purport. People, okay, let's put this here. people in general are not very intelligent, and due to their ignorance, they are more attached to the fruitive activities recommended in the karma kanda portion of the Vedas. They do not want anything more than sense gratification proposals for enjoying life in heaven, where wine and women are available and material opulence is very common. In the Vedas, many sacrifices are recommended for elevation to the heavenly planets, especially the Jyotismaya sacrifice. In fact, it is stated that anyone desiring elevation to the heavenly planets must perform these sacrifices, and men with a poor fund of knowledge think that this is the whole purpose of Vedic wisdom. It is very difficult for such inexperienced persons to be situated in the determined action of Krishna consciousness. As fools are attached to the flowers of poisonous trees without knowing the result of such attractions, unenlightened men are similarly attracted by such heavenly opulence and the sense enjoyment thereof. In the Karma Kanda section of Veda, this is said, Apana, Samanam, Amrita, Abhina, and Aksayam Hava Chatumasya Yagyena Miktya Bhaviti. In other words, those who perform the 4-month penances performed eligible to drink the Soma Ras beverages, to become immortal and happy forever. Even on this earth, some are very eager to have Soma Rasa to become strong and fit to enjoy sense gratifications. Such persons have no faith in liberation from material bondage, and they are very much attached to the proposals, ceremonies of Vedic sacrifices. They are generally sensual, and they do not want anything other than the heavenly pleasures of life. It is understood that there are gardens called Nanda Kanana, in which there is good opportunity for association with angelic beautiful women, and having a profuse supply of some Samaras wine. Such bodily happiness is certainly sensual, therefore there are those who are purely attached to such material temporary happiness and happiness as the Lord of the material world. Om Agyanti Mandasya Gana Gana Salakaya Chakshurame Tamane Tasmai Shri Guruve Nama Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. So, one can see in the life of demigods how they always have an enjoying mood. Also, because of much opulence in the heavenly planets, like there are big trees that when the fruits fall down, they create rivers of mango fruits and different kinds of fruits or rivers are created. And demigods bathe in the rivers to get purified. In the heavenly planet, demigods just burning of their good karma. Also in the heavenly planets, when the enjoying mentality gets too strong, then thinking of Krishna is not there. In the heavenly planets, the demigods don't suffer bad karma, but there is a cursing going on the example in Nahusha. He was a king of the earthly planet, and when Indra was cursed to become a hog, there was no king to rule the heavenly planets, so the demigods asked Nahusha to rule the heavenly planets. So Nahusha became attached to Sachi Devi, and Sachi Devi told Brihaspati, you have to protect me from this Nahusha, who became Indra, because Indra wasn't there. So Brihaspati told Sachi, Indra's wife, that you you tell Nahush, I will enjoy with you on the condition that the sages carry you in a palanquin. So he was so attracted to Sachi Devi that he said, okay. And as the sages were carrying him, as the sages were carrying him, he became impatient, and he was trying to get the sages to hurry up. And one of the sages could not walk properly. He was Astavakra Muni, and he cursed him to become a snake. So we can see how even from the being a king of heaven, he became a snake. So in this way we can see there is a lot of cursing and counter-cursing going in the heavenly planets. And there was another instance of one boy, he was in Kamyavan, and Duvasha Muni, this boy was from the heavenly planets, and Duvasha Muni was sleeping in Kamyavan, and this boy, he cut off Duvasha Muni's hair a little bit. So Duvasha Muni, when he woke up, he found out something happened to his hair, and he became very disturbed. And he went into meditation, he found that his boy had done this. So he caused the boy to become a crocodile. So the boy came back and he begged apology from Duvasha Muni, that please forgive me, I was just playing around, I didn't know what I was doing. So Duvasha Muni said, okay, I can't take my curse back, but when Lord Chaitanya comes, he'll give you mercy. So he had to wait for 4 yuga cycles before Lord Chaitanya came. So Lord Chaitanya came to this place in Mayapur, where the cows were frightened to approach this lake. And it's explained how this cowherd boy, he invited Lord Chaitanya to his house and he fed the devotees. Then he told Lord Chaitanya there's a crocodile in this lake, and the cows are afraid to approach that lake. So Lord Chaitanya went there, chanting names of Krishna, name of Hari. He went there and he chanted. And all of a sudden, this crocodile came out and touched the feet of Lord Chaitanya. And it attended his boy, the form of the boy from heavenly planets. And then after that, he went back to the heavenly planets. So we can see how in the heavenly planets there's a lot of cursing and counter-cursing going. It can happen like this. Another example is Arjun went to the heavenly planets to spend some time in the heavenly planets, maybe to learn weaponry or certain things he went to do. And at some point he was looking at Urvasi, and Indra arranged for Urvasi to enjoy with Arjun. But Arjun told Urvasi that you're my mother, I can't enjoy with you. So he didn't look at Urvasi in a way of enjoying mood. So Urvasi cursed him to become a eunuch. So he used that curse in a power way for serving Krishna in the battle of Kurukshetra. This is in the last year when they were incognito, and Kauravas was trying to find the Pandavas, and they couldn't find them in the house of Virat. They were hiding in the house of Virat. So we can see the enjoying mood is very strong in the heavenly planets, so much opulence. And also example is there of how one time Brihaspati was coming when Indra was in his assembly hall enjoying the dancing of the Apsaras. And Brihaspati came and Indra didn't pay him any respect. So Brihaspati got offended and he disappeared. And just because of Indra not paying respect to Brihaspati, the demigods lost all their power. And because they made Guru Aparad, offense to Brihaspati, was spiritual master of demigods. So they made Guru Aparad. And the demons started worshipping Shukracharya, and they got all strength, and they went over the heavenly planets. So we can see in these stories how even Indra is afraid of his position. That anyone who's doing austerities, he gets frightened, thinking that they're going to overtake his position. Example of Vishwamitra Muni is that when he was doing austerities for 60,000 years, Brihaspati sent one of the Apsaras, and in this way Brihaspati fell down from his austerities. I think Vishwamitra fell down from his austerities. And we can see how in heavenly planets people are very much attached to their opulence, fame, birth, good looks. Like example is given how this is given in Gopal Champu, how Krishna went to kill Naraksura, because one time Indra went to Krishna and said, this Naraksura, he's taken Mandara mountain, he's disturbing the demigods, he's taken Aditi's earrings, he's taken away my earring ability, like this. So Krishna went with Satyabhama, and so Krishna went there, and so it says the Naraksura had 10,000 arms. And Krishna eventually killed him. And then he freed the 16,000 wives who were the daughters of different demigods. And then he got the teachings of Mother Earth came out, because Naraksura was the son of Mother Earth and coming from Varahadev. When Varaha lifted the earth, from that union, Naraksura was born. So so Mother Earth gave back the earrings of Aditi to Krishna, and then Krishna went to the heavenly planets. And because Rukmini got a parijata flower from Narada Muni, Satyabhama also wanted one. But Krishna said, why just buy a flower? I'll give you a tree. Krishna knows nature of women. So then Satyabhama, she asked Sachi Devi, Indra's wife, can I have a parijata tree? And she said, it's not fit for humans. This tree is not fit for humans. In other words, she didn't want the tree to let go. She didn't want the tree to go down to the earthly planet. She wanted the tree to be the heavenly planet. So Krishna spoke to Indra. He said, I've done you a favor, you know. I've killed Naraksura for you. I've brought the things back. Your earrings of your wife Aditi I brought back, and so can I have a parijata tree? Indra refused. So after that, Krishna just took the tree. Then a big fight took place between demigods and Krishna. And Krishna defeated Indra and the demigods. So we can see how loading it over tendency is very strong in heavenly planets. That even though Krishna did Indra a big favor, he says great personalities didn't appreciate, they did not glorify Indra's behavior with Krishna. Krishna didn't do him a favor, still he didn't respond back in a favorable way. So we can see in these examples how demigods, they're very proud of their beauty, opulence, wealth. That's why he says how generally opulence, beauty and wealth can lead to downfall for those who are not very, very advanced. And that's why it's also said that Brahmanas voluntarily practice, they're very poverty stricken. They don't get involved in wealth so much. So another point is, even to please the demigods is not so easy. You have to offer big sacrifices to them. But to please Krishna, you just need love and devotion. Fruit, flower, leaf, vegetables, give it love and devotion. Krishna is pleased. There was one other instance with Vasishtha Muni, how King Nimi, he wanted to do a sacrifice on the earthly planet for Lord Vishnu. But King Vasishtha was attracted by greed to do a sacrifice for Indra in the heavenly planet. So he told Vasishtha to wait. He told King Nimi to wait. And King Nimi couldn't wait, so he arranged his own priest. He did the sacrifice. So when Vasishtha Muni found out, he cursed King Nimi. And it's mentioned in that purport how if someone does anything for any material gain, then he loses his power materially or spiritually. He loses that power eventually. It gets taken away. So very important to do what's pleasing to Krishna. And that pleasing to Krishna is only if it's done in a humble state of mind. So we can see from this example how even in the heavenly planets, the material, the modes of nature are there also. It's not like they're just on the earthly planet. It also affects the heavenly planets. So from this we can see how Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Brahman Brahmana Loka Puna Avitina Jana Mavapati Kunteya Puna Avjanmate, that from the highest planet, from Brahmaloka to the lowest planet, Patala, all are places of misery where birth and death take place. So we can see from this how Krishna doesn't recommend anyone to stay in the material world, even in heavenly planets. And Krishna, to emphasize his point, how the spiritual planets are higher than the heavenly planets, he taught a lesson to the wives of the Brahmanas, and he pointed out how those who are devotees are higher, on a higher platform. Like the Brahmanas who are doing this sacrifice to go to the heavenly planets, Krishna sent the cowherd boys to them first. And but they wanted to give anything because the cowherd boys told the Brahmanas that Krishna and Balaram are nearby with the cows, and we are with them and we are hungry. Can you give us something for us to eat? But the Brahmanas, they were too much into the sacrifice of karma kanda, and so they couldn't recognize who Krishna was. They were too covered over with the material vision. They couldn't see it. And so he's explaining Gopal Champu on the same point how usually Krishna would go on a path where there's fruits and vegetables, but Krishna went on a path to give mercy to the wives of the Brahmanas. So on this path there was nothing to eat. So the cowherd boys felt very hungry. So they asked Krishna, Balaram, can you give us something, arrange something? So they go to these Brahmanas and ask them. The Brahmanas didn't give. And Krishna also warned the cowherd boys that begging means you have to be humble. Because you may not get things the way you want them sometimes. And so when they came back to see Krishna and Balaram said, go to the wives of the Brahmanas. And just by hearing about Krishna and Balaram, their hearts changed. So they quickly came with their pots to give the food to Krishna and Balaram. And they ignored the chastisement of their husbands, relatives and friends. So in that story it's also mentioned how anyone who pleases Krishna is pleasing to everyone. And it's given in Gopal Champu how because the wives gave everything to Krishna, when they went back, the houses were decorated with jewels, emeralds and diamonds. So from this, the husbands got an idea who Krishna was after that. They said, how foolish we were, we couldn't recognize who Krishna and Balaram were. Our wives were so exalted that they recognized who they were. And then they started condemning themselves, saying, what is the use of all our learning of all these mantras and sacrifices and rituals, and there's no meaning to it. What's the meaning of our religious principles? It seems like our wives are more advanced than us, that they had this natural attraction to go and see Krishna and Balaram. So it shows another point in this story as well, that how the path of Vedic Bhakti is full of rules and regulations. So it's a path leading to the attachment, but the path of raga is, by following that path, the attachment becomes stronger very quickly. And that's done by hearing and chanting about Krishna, which is part of Vedic Bhakti also. But and discussing about Krishna also, that's another important part. So then, from that, this path of raga becomes strong. Raga means attachment. So, so there's one pastime where it shows how Krishna is very eager to respond to those who surrender to him. And he doesn't like anyone who's disturbing that path, anyone who's coming in the way of his glorification. He doesn't like that. So we can see also in this pastime of lifting Govardhan Hill, same point, how Indra wanted to be the center, but Krishna wanted to change all that to show how you don't have to depend on demigods, you depend on me. Krishna is saying like this. So that was the whole purpose of lifting this Govardhan Hill. Krishna wanted to make that point. There was another interesting point I found out, how in the glorification of the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it says there was one devotee, he was reciting the first 5 verses of the 18th chapter every day. So, at the end of his life, the Vishnudras came and asked him, "What do you want?" He said, "I want to become Indra." So then, he became Indra, and Indra got thrown out of his position. He got moved on. So that Indra went to complain to Lord Vishnu. He said, "What happened? I did 100 horse sacrifices and I got this position. How come you put this person there?" And then Lord Vishnu said, "He's my devotee." For the whole life, he was reciting 5 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, and he wanted to become Indra. So I gave him that position. So after that, Indra started reciting the whole 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So at the end of his life, the Vishnudevas came and said, "What do you want?" "I want to go to Vaikuntha." Showing the point that the spiritual world is much higher with rasa than the heavenly planet. The heavenly planet is just, you could say, it's full of Vaishyas and Kshatriyas. The higher planets, which are above the heavenly planets, they're full of great sages. So in the material world, everywhere is danger. There was one interesting Padmalochan Prabhu, I heard his class in Mayapur, he was saying how there was one person, he did a lot of austerity to Indra. So Indra made him the demigod of the years. But Padmalochan Prabhu made a point, why go through all those austerities worshiping demigods when you can easily approach Krishna and even achieve a higher goal than worshiping demigods? Because Prabhupada makes a point that even worshiping demigods, their boons are temporary, because once the material world finishes, their boons will finish also. But by worshipping Krishna, his mercy is unlimited, and Krishna is always there. And Krishna is showing through his pastimes that if you join me, I'll make you happy. And he should give you an example of the cowherd boys and the gopis and Mother Yasoda, Nandamar, they're always happy. So, from this we can understand how the real happiness is to join Krishna's family. Anything in the material world is just temporary. It's full of misery. Hare Krishna. There's an interesting quote. I go by Bhaktivedanta Thakur. He gives an interesting quote. Comparison to the demigod and the humans. He gives a, let's see. Okay. So the question is asked to him, is human birth superior to birth as a demigod? He answers, human birth is better than birth as a demigod. In that is why the demigods aspire for human birth. The demigods are so intoxicated with material enjoyment that they cannot think of how much distress awaits them. They are fully absorbed in intoxication of temporary happiness. A demigod's life is also temporary. Bhagavad Gita 9:21 says, Te tam bhukta svalokam vishalam siddhya punya matyam lokam vishanti evyam tre dharmam anupapapanam papana gata gatam karma kama lamante. When they have thus enjoyed vast heavenly sense pleasure and the results of their pious activities are exhausted, they return to this mortal planet again. Thus, those who seek sense enjoyment by adhering to the principles of three Vedas achieve only repeated birth and death. Human beings are more concerned about the future than the inferior living entities. The demigods live happier and more prosperous lives than human beings, but eventually they too face difficulty. Surrounded by high birth, opulence, knowledge and beauty, demigods always try to increase their standing. Because they have more facility for material enjoyment, we consider them great. But human beings have an advantage. Since they are not as great as demigods, they have the privilege of thinking about their auspiciousness. If human beings remain absorbed in attachment to high birth, opulence and so on, like demigods, they will never be able to think about how to find their own good fortune. Human beings have more opportunity than demigods to worship the Supreme Lord and associate with saints. Thus the human birth is superior to the birth of the demigod. Also, the miseries we experience in the human form of life constantly remind us of the temporary insignificance of material existence. In the relatively superior life of demigods, this realization is not easily achieved. In the human form of life, therefore, we have received the opportunity to become truly fortunate to know what is the beneficial and not beneficial for us. Any questions or comments? Haribol.
We spoke of sacrifices. I wanted to find out what kind of sacrifices we can do for Krishna so that he can give us more purification quickly, so that we don't spend a lot of time on that, so we can enjoy the rasa, the raga, rather than struggling.
Well, actually, you see, interesting you mentioned that. Like, the easiest sacrifice is chanting the holy names. But there are demigods and people of high, so-called high caliber. They can't appreciate our method. They're more into rigid austerities of going to Himalayas and. But chanting the holy name is the best sacrifice. And associating with saintly people. Because in this world there is two kinds of attachments. There's some people are into austerity, some are into material comfort. But these are all part of material attachments. So we have to do what is favorable serving Krishna. This is the highest sacrifice. So, even being a nice person doesn't take one back to Godhead. One has to do things what are pleasing to Krishna. This is a higher principle. So, because Krishna is the absolute truth. So everything related to him is beneficial for everyone. So Prabhupada gave a nice point in one of his, I think, 239 Bhagavad Gita lectures. He was saying how gambling is there, but gambling is not good, but there's a negative side to gambling and a positive side. The negative side one should not do. Positive side one should do. And positive side is that we should gamble our life for Krishna. And we'll see Krishna will reciprocate with us. Not everyone can take to chanting the holy name seriously. So as preachers, we have to build up people's piety to the point where they can do that. And Prabhupada gives an example like dry grass, damp grass and wet grass. You burn dry grass, it burns quickly. Damp grass takes a little time. Wet grass, it won't burn. So some people have the piety, the qualification to take to spiritual life fast. Others take a little time. So we have to be expert in helping those who bringing people to the path of spiritual life. And this is made very easily by Lord Chaitanya's mercy in this age. So the incompleteness is there because we lack complete knowledge. That's why Prabhupada emphasized reading his books. And when the conviction becomes strong, then everything becomes easy. It's a matter of having that conviction about who Krishna is. And then from that everything becomes easy. Because even great devotees, demigods are very eager to associate with advanced devotees. Because they can see even for them to get to that level where the advanced devotees are, it'll take a long time. And he explained how sometimes even the demigods, they participate in Krishna's pastimes because they don't have that qualification to enter Krishna's pastimes. But somehow or other, by assisting Krishna in his pastimes, they become qualified at some point to enter the pastimes. So, the mercy of the advanced devotees is the best way you can make rapid advancement. But many don't get that chance. It's a very gradual process. So if one does have that chance, then one should take it. Like the King Niga, he was very attached to his opulence as a king. He's just into charity. So even when he saw Krishna, he could, in the purpose he explained how he was attached to his own glorification to some extent. But the fact that he served a devotee of Krishna to make a temple, of reciting Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, that blessing he got by a devotee, that's the qualification that got him to see Krishna. So we can see the mercy of advanced devotees, that just with their mercy, what may be difficult to achieve becomes easy. Like that. Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki, Jai. Prabhupada ki, Jai. Hare Krishna.
so I could actually remove them. I want you to just keep them for the transfers. Yeah, it's just when we do the transfers, just for them to know. So yeah, and then I really forgot to remove them. Sorry about that.
How come you put
And this is for, because at times the devotees come in, they're all asking different questions of the Portuguese. So to make it easy for them, I place it out here so then they can boost know, okay, this is for us.
I see.
Yeah, like that. So, yeah, because all of them come and they ask so many questions and it spends so much time. So it was just a lot of convenience.
That's a good idea.
So, yeah. But yeah, no, I should keep them here for the patient, just be temporary.
It's very important.